Hi everyone. I'm Attila Szabó, application scientist at ChemAxon. One of my field is our SharePoint extension. In this presentation, I would like to talk about how ChemAxon platform is integrated into another platform, namely Microsoft SharePoint. Also, we'll give you an update on news. Let me start with a rough analogy of a beehive, because what is a beehive is all about. It is collaboration and sharing information to achieve a goal. And it could be regarded similar to a company using SharePoint. But what is SharePoint? The proper answer is complex, but in short, it's a platform for sharing information. However, by default, it doesn't have chemical intelligence, so it could be hard to use in fields where chemical structures play an essential role. And this is why we developed JChem for SharePoint. This is the so-called feature circle that is used by Microsoft to explain SharePoint capabilities. And in this presentation, I'd like to go through all these 6 areas and highlight how ChemAxon extends them. Let's start with sites. With SharePoint, you are able to create websites with a few clicks, and that's it. The editing of the sites resembles the well-known Office suite. And SharePoint comes with numerous predefined templates that are that are typical in corporate environments. But for whom can you create sites? It could be a publicly available site or an internet site for employees or for a team who you are working on with a project. And here comes ChemAxon first into the picture, because using JChem for SharePoint, you are able to enrich these sites with chemical structures, either using Marvin Sketch or other third-party chemical drawers. Next one, communities. It stands for features which helps sharing information on everyday activities, like calendars, blogs, discussion boards, and internal wiki pages. But this might be problematic for chemists who want to see structures because they communicate about structures. So that is why it could be a good use case for synthetic chemists who can share ideas about reaction pathways with JChem for SharePoint on discussion boards, because structure drawing is enabled there as well. The content. You can use SharePoint as a document repository, uploading any file types, and edit the Office documents. With JChem for SharePoint, you can import and export chemical structures in different file formats or Excel workbooks. And in this list, the calculator plugins are also integrated, which means you can characterize your structures in SharePoint lists. And one use case idea here is that these lists could be shared, and SharePoint comes with a fine-grained security administration, which means you could share it with a CRO, the structures that you want to be synthesized by them. SharePoint Lists has a versioning system, which means if you edit the structures, for instance, you can track and reverse these changes anytime. Okay, at this point, we reached a SharePoint site which is full of content, but how to find something in it. SharePoint comes with a search engine that helps you to find what you need, but if you're using JChem for SharePoint and you store structures on your server, then there is a JChem for SharePoint search component which allows you to find the structures in documents or in structure files or on discussion boards. So let me show a short video about it, how it works. Yet you can use Marvin Sketch or ChemDraw. Here I draw caffeine as a query structure and we'll carry out a similarity search. The JChem search options are included, so you can fine-tune your search. Here I'm making lower the similarity threshold. And once you carried out the search, you got back a list of documents which contains the hit structures. And this list could be filtered by file format or source type. Now, let's see what content is actually searchable. They are Office documents like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and OneNote, as well as PDF and text files. And the common structure formats are searchable too, like MRV, MOL, SKC, and so on. But what exactly is recognized in the documents? And they are common names, IUPAC names, SMILE strings, INCHI strings, and images are also supported, but with some limitations from our side and obviously of Ostra's. Then Excel workbooks and with chemistry add-ons and chemistry OLEs like JChem and ChemDraw and ISIS are supported. And one more thing is the compound IDs. Your compound database can be linked to JChem for SharePoint search. So whenever a compound ID is present on the document, it will be a hit. And of course, every structures you draw on SharePoint sites and discussion boards are in the scope. The next area, Insights, it stands for Reporting and Data Aggregation Features. It's still under investigation by us, but here's a general example of US sales performance. And the last one is the Composites. It stands for the high customizability of SharePoint, which can be either non-coding using SharePoint Designer tool, for instance, or coding like JChem for SharePoint itself. Okay, now we walked around this circle, and I think we could say that we've seen that SharePoint is a rich collaboration platform, and with JChem for SharePoint, you can make it much more suitable for a company in the life science industry. However, it's not limited to life sciences. For instance, DuPont, a US chemical company, is about to roll it out into production, and their scientific community well received it. I'm almost at the end. Just let me go through quickly what's coming in the next release, which is going to be 2.1. It's not been synchronized yet with other ChemAxon products. So Marvin for JavaScript will be introduced here as well. Here is a screenshot of it, which is a bit special since it's been taken in SharePoint 2013, which is under testing by the developers and probably will be supported in early next year. The latest ChemDraw 13 is will be supported, and copy structures to Marvin and ChemDraw desktop applications. This might be an expected feature, but it's usually a problematic thing for developers to solve copy-paste between web application and a desktop one. Let me show a video about it, how it can be done. So you select the structure and go to the JChem tab on the ribbon, and then copy and paste into ChemDraw or Marvin Sketch. The next thing is important for those who already somehow get affected by SharePoint. Historically, JChem for SharePoint search been separated from JChem for SharePoint, but now the admin interface and installer got unified. And finally, developers started to work on a diagnostic tool, which will hopefully make the installer much more robust and helping to overcome the fact that SharePoint installation can vary a lot at different companies. And let me show the members of the team. They are 8, and the product owner is Tamás Pác, who is with us and sitting back there. And if it raised your attention, then you can try it out yourself at sharepoint.chemaxon.com. And thank you very much for your attention.